Hey y'all, it's Michael, and the next short story collection that I'm going to be reading is Awayland by Ramona Asubel. I have read Asubel's previous, I think it's the previous short story collection that she wrote, which is A Guide to Being Born, which I remember there were some moments in that short story collection that was like, whoa, this is like well, what I'll do is after each and every single short story, I'll let you guys know what I think about it, and then at the end, I'll do a collective overall thought. So let's go. So I read the first short story called "You Can Find Love Now." It seems as though the short stories are broken up into like sections. So the first section is called "Bay of Hungers," and then the first is like broken up to three short stories after that. So the first short story under "Bays of Hunger" is "You Can Find Love Now." This was actually really funny. It's about a cyclops filling out a online dating profile. It was actually humorous, if anything. And my favorite part about this was like, he's a teacher, which is so funny. But then he's like, yeah, I don't teach. I teach all the classics except for the Odyssey. And I was like, oh, you got jokes. Oh, you got jokes. Our previous short story collection, A Guide to Being Born, I actually did enjoy that one. I gave it, I think, 3.5. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. But what I enjoyed most about that was like the fabulism about him. Fabulism is the type that she writes. I don't want to categorize her if that's not what she writes, but that's the stories that I get from her anyways. And I do enjoy her type of like, it's like fun, weird, bizarre stories. All right, I just finished reading the short story Fresh Water from the Sea. This one I really did like. The characters are here are not named. They're just like girl and daughter and mother and stuff. So it's about a girl, the daughter, who goes to visit her mom because she is vanishing, quote unquote. And this is a really good example from Asubel of how she writes. It's kind of like magical, but it's so hard to classify because it, for me, it falls under like magical realism, but it's not like. It's so weird. I don't know how other booktubers classify it, but here's a really good sentence that I found. I was like, oh yeah, this is good. She was slightly wispy, where she had once been a precise oil painting. Now she was a watercolor. And so Asubel takes this concept and applies it throughout the whole story. And it's like her thinning away, like vanishing, like water, kind of like evaporation and things like that. While it has a like magical feeling to it, you can kind of interpret this story like as straightforward as you want it to be, because like let's just say she's just really sick. She's just sick, and she's like vanishing in that regard. Let's finish reading the short story Template for a Proclamation to Save the Species. This one was really bizarre. It's about a mayor in a town, and basically we're following a couple, and it was weird. They have to have like babies within this day, like it calls for them to have intercourse. It was really bizarre. I didn't really get it. I read it and I was just like, okay. um the writing though, however, is still really strong. It has again like this fabulous magical sense to it in the writing. I just finished reading the short story Motherland. This was weird, but like not a good weird. I don't know how I felt about it. I don't know, I felt some type of way. But this is a story about a woman, a named narrator, who basically marries. They call him an African, like he's an African man from Africa, and she basically goes to Africa. That is it. And then there's like magical stuff in it and whatnot. But I don't know. I didn't like it. Yeah, I didn't like it. Point blank period. I didn't like it. I guess I can kind of see what's going on, like with thematic wise, but something about it, I don't know. I wasn't grooving with it. All right, I just finished reading the short story The Parter Lounge. This was weird, and I'm on the fence about this one. This thematically, this is all over the place, but it's about this woman who's in this program. It's similar to this podcast that I listened to before. It's like where they go to Hawaii and they're like in an experiment where they have to pretend like they're living on Mars, so they can't leave and whatnot. But then this gets into like about like pregnancy and about like having a child, and it's saying a lot without actually saying anything at all, in my opinion. And I say that because the it has this like magical feeling to it, like this out of this world feel to it. Like it doesn't feel centered. I just finished reading the short story Remedy. This is the longest one in the collection so far. And this one I actually did like. It's very thematically similar to the other short stories, so I don't know if there's a theme going on because the book is sectioned off with the 12 short stories in like sections, so that might have something to do with it. It's about a couple, Kit and Summer. They're going overseas to get a surgery for Summer's wrist. Yeah, so once again, this is a very magical-ish. That's, I think, my favorite part of it. It's very not straightforward. It's kind of airy. It has this mood of just, this could literally be anything. Like the way the reader could take what is being mentioned as something else, like instead of the wrist surgery, it could, and like the way that they want their hands to join together, like it could mean several things. And there are some funny parts in this, and like no, there are moments where it's very blunt the way that the character speaks. So I did like that. And one thing that I am noticing that I'm really enjoying, actually within all, I think this is just in her writing in general, is how Asubel describes body parts. I'm really liking it. It's the way she uses body parts to mean things. I'm really enjoying that aspect, and I think she does it really, really well. Alright, I finished the next short story called Club Zeus. You know what? I didn't mind this one as much, but this one is about a character who works at like a resort club type of thing where he tells stories about mythology. That's his job, but there's actually more to it, to the story. This is very similar, like again with the previous short stories. It's Asubel's familiar writing, so I don't really have that much to say about it, which is like weird, because usually when I don't have anything to say about it, it's just like in the middle, so it's like okay. All right, I just finished reading the short story High Desert. I'm not sure, but I think that the stories connect, because this seems really like it connected to a previous short story. Yeah, it has to, because this is about the mother of the previous story, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on it. But mother is getting a hysterectomy. So in this quote, she says, "She is not dying. She is not sick even. Her body is detaching itself. In fact, it is just that her uterus is heavy and falling, but she feels like her body is untying the knots and setting off." So yeah, like parts like that, like it's strange. I just finished reading the short story Heaven. It was literally 3 pages, and point blank period, I didn't get it. I understood some of the like references of what it was making and whatnot, and this like weird thing going on, but it didn't work for me. Yeah. Alright, I just finished reading the story The Animal Mummies Wish to Thank the Following. This one was okay. It's like a humorous, funny story about the animals in like in a museum, like wishing to thank how they got there, but in this sarcastic tone. Was it funny? Some parts. I think what made it not as funny was that the story kind of went too long. I think if this was like much shorter and like just condensed more, I think the joke would have had landed more. I finished the last story on here called Do Not Save the Ferocious, Save the Tender. I don't want to talk that much about it because Loki Hiki has connections to some other stories, and I liked it. I'm going to talk about the end. So I thought I would give my final thoughts on Awayland by Ramona Asubel. Overall, I thought this was just okay. I would give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. I rated it 2 stars on Goodreads. There are some things I like about this, and that's this magical feeling that Asubel is really good at. Her writing really evokes this type of like floaty, airy, kind of mystical, fabulous writing. Is when she describes body parts, because they are so, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very like, it's nothing like I've ever read before, and that's why I think I really enjoyed her previous short story collection that I read a guide a guide to being born, and I really did like that collection. And this was really disappointing in that regard because I thought that some of these stories weren't weren't as great, and they weren't the best in my opinion. I really didn't enjoy them by themselves. Now, cohesively as a whole, there are moments that I was like, oh, that's really cool how she would tie in a lot of the things together. But in the end, I just thought it was okay. I would love to read more things of her. So she has another short story collection. I would read it. It's just that this one was a little bit of a misstep for me. If you read any of the short stories in here or this collection, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts. Until then, I'll see you guys till next time. Bye! At the end of these videos, I always let y'all know the next short story collection that I'll be reading, and that's Babylon Revisited and Other Stories by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now, I have not read The Great Gatsby in years, okay? Years. So I've been reading a lot of short story collections that have been modern if you've been watching my previous videos. So I thought I was like, you know what? Let's go classic.